Welcome, everyone, to another episode of HR and Payroll 2.0. I'm Pete Tiliakis, and as always, I'm joined by the legendary Julie Fernandez. Welcome, Julie.
Thanks, Pete. I know we got a fun one coming up. Gen Zs are my favorite, and we're about to dig into one with someone that we've both gotten to know really well, Ryan Kielma.
Yes. Our guy behind the guy, our guy behind the show, our third cast member, I guess you could say, that no one has probably met on the HR and Payroll 2.0. Ryan is a huge asset to us. He's our producer, and he makes the magic happen. So excited to have you, Ryan. Stoked to have you here, man.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And we were just figuring out you're actually a fringe Gen Zer. You barely made the cutoff.
I barely made the cutoff. Yeah, 1999.
All right, we'll take it, man. We'll take it. Well, we got a lot of questions. I know Julie's Gen Z series has been super insightful. I enjoy them. I know our guests have been enjoying them. And I think it's cool, man, to just kind of peek into the minds of like the younger, emerging workforce, as I would call it. And just talk about all the cool ways that you guys have available to you now that maybe other generations didn't have, that you can make a living, but then also like these crazy times we're living in of how hard things are for, I have some kids along, I have a millennial. I was just saying a geriatric millennial, actually. I have a couple of Gen Zers and I guess, what would it be between that? There isn't. It just went from, yeah. Okay, yeah. So I've got the Gen Z and I've got I've got a millennial. And I think it's really interesting how they're all kind of going about finding jobs and figuring themselves out and doing what they're doing. So excited to have you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, Ryan, so I know we will get eventually to how you got hooked up with us, which kind of puts you in the HR world, right? But I actually, with all the Gen Zs on the series so far, we really just wanted to start with your debut into the workforce and, how you navigated your way through school and the things that you liked and disliked into your first job, which was actually, kind of a real job, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a spiral adventure. So I went to school for mechanical engineering. I went to CCSU out in Connecticut, and I loved it. It was a good time. I think I did a couple of years, and I didn't fully make it through because I ended up going to my first job as a junior draftsman at a local aerospace manufacturer. Worked through there for about a year. It was like my first real professional role outside of like serving and warehouse jobs, all the stuff you do as when you're a high schooler. And so I finished up my first job there. Moved up to my next company, and the second company was really where I had the big pivot moment for myself and ended up leaving the engineering space altogether. It was a little weird. I remember sitting in my office surrounded by a couple of engineers. It was a weird setup. We all faced the walls and talked to each other that way, which was different. It was a little different. But I remember I was sitting there. I had like 200 parts on my desk. I had a team. I had resources. It really was like the golden setup. Like on paper, I checked all the boxes. I was climbing the corporate career ladder. And but I remember they were talking about like Wonder Woman from the 60s. I think it was Eleanor Woods. What they had for lunch and kids for the soccer games. And I was a little bummed out because I was like, this is gonna be this is my life. Like it's over. Like this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. And I'm like, I guess this is what it is. And I'm very much so in the Gen Z bucket of like I want to do something. I want to leave an impact. I want to be here and like be here, be useful. So I remember going home that night. It was a long day of work, and it was funny. It's even weird to say this, that YouTube changed the career path of my life. I watched some kid, Kelly Wakasa. It was like a snowboarding video, and he said like, "Do what excites." I was like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. That's a life quote." So I took that to heart. I was like, what's the first thing I could do to go out and find something fun to do? I was like, snowboarding. So I did a bunch of traveling, and from the traveling, it opened up a bunch of different random jobs. I've explored so many different industries. And oddly enough, I'm now in podcasting. So add this to the long list of different roles I've had. So, but yeah, that was kind of my start. It was a little crazy, a little reckless, but it was fun and lots of good stories there.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm picking up podcasting as an extreme sport, right? Is that the category we go into? Awesome.
Well, yeah, look, we were kind of talking this a little bit, and I've always been fascinated by this. Is just the creator economy has enabled this, right? Like,
yes,
the idea that, and I think we all, this is part of the creator economy, podcasts, right? Social media, anything, right? Etsy. I go to Etsy. I love Etsy. I've been shopping there for years. It's where I buy a lot of unique gifts. Shout out to Etsy. Maybe they should sponsor us. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, I think that there's what is really refreshing about that is like you can kind of take your passion and your creativity and your right? Your uniqueness, and you can turn it into something, and that can be as crazy as, I mean, like you said, YouTube, right? You've got people on there that are like making, millions of views from someone making candles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like there's just the craziest things out there. You can learn to play guitar from someone. You can learn to snowboard. You can, I don't know about you guys, but I like watching the ones where the people, and I hate this, but I like watching the ones where the people climb the really tall buildings, and it
Oh,
scares
no.
the life out of me. But I can't stop watching it, and I sweat, and I get so excited and anxious, and then I'm just like, why did I watch that? And then I watch another one, and it's just. But the point is, it's like it's entertainment, but it's also it's creator, right? It's someone being able to express themselves in a way that oddly, right, resonates with someone, some audience. Someone's getting those millions of clicks they're drawing, and at the end of the day, it's entertainment. It's income for some people. So I'm just fascinated by that. Just a million ways, especially here in America, that you can make money, and the idea that you can take just the simplest thing and turn it into a business now is so beautiful. I think it's really, really awesome. So congrats to you, man, for recognizing very soon you wanted to get off the wheel.
Yeah, I was early quarter life crisis at 19 years old. So that was
Yeah.
that was its own ordeal.
No, it's good though, man. You figured it out early. There's a lot of us who were like trapped in a cubicle at some point. I know when I got out of the military and I was sitting in a cubicle, I was sitting in a cubicle in the military kind of.
That's
And I
crazy.
thought that was the end of the world. I thought that was prison. And then when I got out, I got a job that I really loved, actually in HR. And I just found what I like to do, I guess. And it worked. But still, there is this idea that like, is this it? Like, is this all I'm ever going to do is just push buttons and, whatever. But yeah, no, anyway, kudos to you, man. And we appreciate having you on the show.
Hey, so besides the existential crisis at 19, right, which you quickly happened upon, did you wrestle? Like, talk to me about wrestling with leaving the idea of a steady job,
Yeah.
to be your own boss. Like, how hard was that, or had you not yet fully entered the world of, oh my God, I have bills and responsibilities, and I can't give up a paycheck? Like, how does that happen?
No, that's a good question. And there's a lot of internal conversations you have to have when you walk towards something like this, especially with all the risk that comes to it. I do miss the paychecks. I do miss having the already pre-built team around me. It's almost like your own little like support system work family. Like that is beautiful in its own sense.
Yeah.
Um,
There's safety in that.
There's the safety in that, right? You
Yeah.
have a system and you have a group that's there, always there for you for whatever you need. It's amazing. The difficult part I think about this was, and I think the difficult part about myself is I like the risk. I like the craziness. I like being a little reckless, hence, dropping out and moving across the country in a week. So I've never been too afraid to just go after something and figure it out in the moment. It's been through a lot of the stories and experiences I've had along the way. And so starting a business and chasing after something that I wanted to do and I wanted to build and learn on my own, it wasn't super, super scary to go after, but there are a lot of downsides, especially when you lose the benefits. Like I have to go source my own benefits now, right? Who do I go to? What's the best one? Is what's good for small business? If I bring people on, there's a lot more questions that come up, but learning on your own, I mean, I'm self-starter, so I don't really have too many problems picking up on new skills.
I was just going to ask you if there's like this expiration date, right? Because a lot of times folks at that age, we were young enough to have parental fallback plans, and folks might have maybe a window till 26 before they got to figure out things like benefits and other things that you wrestle with going into the workforce. But it sounds like you've kind of gotten by the wrestling part and gotten yourself to the, no, I'm really doing this. And, it's not just a backup, on my parents' plan sort of thing. Is that true?
I definitely wrote it out till 26, 100%. I was very, very grateful to be on it. I you guys are amazing.
As you
I'll
should.
pay you.
As you should.
The excess, whatever it is. But I was very, very grateful to be on that till 26. I know it's a fortunate situation.
How refreshing, because I'm actually saying this because I feel refreshed by it. And, I've been on my own now for 3 years. I love the control over my art, if you will. I love the control over what I create and do, and the freedom that I think it gives me. And I hear that a lot when I talk to Uber drivers, right? Just as an example, I take a lot of Ubers. I don't, like to the airport and things in different cities. And I commonly hear the word freedom and flexibility come up when you ask them, why do you do this? How much is that? I mean, given that you had that taste of corporate America and now you're kind of on your own, obviously, what's the difference? Like, what's the contrast there in that?
I think the structure is beneficial. like I said, having those pre-built systems really guides you through it and allows you to grow straightforward, versus the freedom is nice because it gives you a lot more flexibility when it comes to like life, or,
Yeah.
me and my buddies play pickleball on Friday. So I can just kind of, as long as my work's done for the day and I'm good,
Go.
I can go play pickleball, which is my favorite part. So the flexibility of that for life is worthwhile, but you have to learn it's less linear. You have to jump around and move around and be flexible with both the problems and the outcomes. So that's kind of the juggle, the trade-off that I'm seeing now as I experience and go through all these things.
What's up, everyone? Pete Tiliakis here, coming to you with a personal invite to join me and Team Betterment as we host a live panel discussion on one of my favorite topics, the power of flexibility in the workplace. I'll be joined by a stellar HR exec lineup on May 20th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time for Flexibility Enablers, HR tools shaping the future of work. Together, we'll unpack how forward-thinking companies are using flexibility to differentiate in the war for talent by shaping highly personalized and differentiated employee experiences that drive measurable business outcomes. Whether you're an HR leader, a people manager, or just passionate about the future of work, this is your chance to hear practical insights and walk away with strategies you can apply immediately. So registration is now open for this unique live event, and I hope I'll see you there.
Yeah, you're reminding me of lots of things that Nico raised, right, in our first Gen Z conversation. So like, how do you measure your growth, or how have you marketed and grown? I don't know, when you decided maybe podcasting, was it just happenstance that you ran across Pete, or that you knew us, or something got you in that direction? And what kind of kept you and pulled you into saying, hey, this is a thing for me?
It was accidental. I was thinking of how I wanted to tell this because I fell into this. It was a family friend that reached out. He needed help with content distribution. He was like, I know you do marketing. I know you work in content. Can you help out with this? Well, of course. So I hop in. We're working through his projects, getting stuff out. And through him, I met Pete. I met you. And through Pete, I've met so many awesome, amazing other individuals along in the space. And it's been a wonderful journey since then. I really haven't left. I just kind of stuck around, kind of like the fly that flew in the door. Like, I'm not leaving now. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
So
that's good. We like it that way.
I love it here. It's good people.
Yeah. Well, that's why we didn't ask, how did you get into HR? Why do you stay? Obviously, you're not in HR, but we've sucked you into that world, obviously, now.
I'm ready now.
And exposed you to more HR than you probably ever thought you'd be exposed to.
And I think it's fair to say you're seeing it as kind of like a niche or a microcosm, right? That really has some interest. Am I putting words in your mouth, or is that true?
This is a really powerful space, and that's really why I enjoy working in here. And while, again, I'm by no means an expert, I don't know anything around policies or laws, but I'm interested, and I love listening in, at least on the conversations, what change is happening. And when I try to explain this to friends and family, I'm like, I'm working with the people that want to make a difference in the work world. Like, these are good people with big ideas. Like, and I just to be able to be the more or less, I guess, like a middleman when it comes to content, and just be here to help get those ideas out to the world and help everyone show up consistently. Like, I love just doing that. It's been a really, really great opportunity.
Yeah. I think it's really rad too, because you're behind the scenes on shows of some of the top thought leaders that I know I admire and listen to, shows that I was listening to before I had a podcast, some of them. And some we've been around longer, but I think it's interesting because you're getting this sort of like, it's almost like you're getting this private front row to all of this incredible knowledge. And you could almost maybe write a book across all the podcasts, I think, by the time it's over. It's so cool, man.
Crash course. It really is. Like, the conversations I get to listen to, if I'm being truthful about it, I wouldn't have listened to these originally if I wasn't here in the first place. So now that I get to like actively be here and I listen to every episode, it's just like you said, it's a masterclass from some of the best, and it's cool to hear the conversations that are going around the industry, and I love this.
Yeah, but it's got to be a bit of an acquired taste, right? I mean, in the beginning, it's like blah, 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 HR, people, blah.
It's good stuff, though. They're good conversations.
But it powers the world, right? And it's relevant to everyone. I mean, even if you don't realize it, human capital management and human capital power, if you will, it fuels the world. I mean, literally. And without humans and people, we can't do anything. So I think everyone can relate, even if they haven't been in a corporate America or been in HR. You can relate to getting a W-2. You can relate to having to deal with a job application or going to a job interview. I think everyone has that lens and some sort of an opinion of what that's like. Hopefully it's good for most, but there's a lot of bad out there. I mean, as a researcher, I talk to buyers all the time across all towers of HR, and I just hear some crazy stories that really just make me think, like, wow, like there's good and bad in everything, and HR is one of those. And so, yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure it probably resonates a lot more than you ever thought it would.
It really does. It's the glue that keeps everything together, right?
Yeah.
That's what it seems like to me, which is cool. It's cool to learn about the inner systems that keep everything afloat. Like I didn't realize that HR had so many roles and there were so many responsibilities that go into this, and the depth of it. Just listening to this show in itself, I'm like, holy cow, payroll. I didn't realize it was that intense.
There's so many towers of HR.
There's so many.
There really
So
are.
many.
There really are. Yeah, no, it's great, man. And so let me ask you this. Do you think like what's your passion around podcasts? I mean, how did you navigate sort of towards that and have found a home there, if maybe that wasn't where you started, obviously, but like, do you have a passion for that? I mean, are you a podcast fan?
I love audiobooks. And so that's this same, right?
Yeah.
So I think with marketing, and one of the reasons I love it, it's all about building great stories and good conversations around whatever service, people, experiences, whatever the case may be. And podcasting is a great way to just have consistent stories that go out, and we all gravitate towards stories, which I think is the really special part about podcasts. Like you can listen to an audiobook and that's a curated narrative over one specific topic, or whatever narrative you're looking at. But podcasts, these are like small bite-sized stories, and you have new characters coming in all the time, and it's a great place from a high level perspective of content. And then you can take this and you can dish this out in so many different formats. And so I love the versatility, I think, from a technical perspective of a podcast, but then from like the people perspective, there's so many new people that come in. You never know who you're going to meet, see, listen to. And I think that is special in itself. So that's what brings me in. It's the people and what we can do with it.
I really like what you said, Ryan, just now about the so many different formats, right? So you've been with us from the very start, and the kind of the brains behind getting us out there in many cases. And we started audio only, and now are moving over toward a video format with YouTube. And we see more ways or means that folks will take clips and blast them in different places. Different tools are surfacing all the time. I mean, you have to have just a love to digging into the latest, greatest, or what's even new, right? Because I know you paved that way for us many times.
Surfing the algorithm.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I think the fun part about social media, and that's what I did prior to this. I was working with a bunch of small businesses trying to keep their content pipeline full, and then also distribute it to all the different platforms. The fun part about social media is it's constantly evolving, always changing, and the conversations that are worthwhile and happening, they don't stick around for very long. And I don't want to use the word trend because it's very buzzwordy, but there's always something new to talk about. And so just inserting yourself in those different, micro communities, large communities, whatever the case may be, there's always availability for that. And so, like I said, the podcast, you're able to insert this into so many different spaces and places, which I think is unique to itself.
Yeah.
Have you seen, even in your time jumping into this space, some really big faux pas? Like, oh man, that was really stupid thing to do. Or like, people are trying a lot of new stuff out there, and there's lots of new tools and there's lots of new ways. HR always hears the craziest things that go wrong that nobody else should hear. And it just struck me like, have you seen anybody like really bungle some stuff pretty good?
Honestly, not yet. I see a lot of good true colors here. I haven't, and this is by no means trying to glaze over anything. Like anybody and everybody that I've listened to within this space, there's a lot of good intention behind everything. And even when it comes to the distribution, it's just creative formats. How do you want to show up to people, and what information do you want to be presented and highlighted, right? Like, I think there's some like creative nuances, like, you see some maybe like some weird typography and, wherever the case may be. Maybe they don't have a creative team behind them, but I think the intention behind what's going out, that's always been good. So I've yet to see anybody truly fumble anything. So far, so good. Knock on wood,
Well, I feel like you're a little bit of our safety, right? I mean, a lot of people do it themselves, and they start doing it themselves, and with more or less acumen, and then just even having somebody that's focused on doing it good and doing it right, for us has been invaluable, really.
I don't even know if it's so much that there's a right or wrong. I actually think, I mean, I've been listening to podcasts now, I think probably since about 2008, 2010, something like that. a long time, right? I've been a long time adopter, and I've listened to many, many podcasts, popular ones, not popular ones. I've been on many of them. And I think that the key is the authenticity. Like, people see through the fake. There's plenty of fake out there. There's a lot of fake in the HR influencer space. There is. And there's a lot of contrived shows and things that people see through, I think. Right. And you can see it in mainstream media where you've got some folks who have been incredibly popular, celebrities that have gone into these podcasts that failed miserably because they overproduced it and they over sort of de-authenticated it to a point that it was almost like this corporate thing that people can't attach to. And I think it's more about just being yourself, being authentic and trying to share. And that's how we were born, all out of, hey, we're having these incredible conversations. My network of folks on my mobile phone is a who's who of people in this industry, founders and leaders and thought leaders. And I'm like, if I'm talking to them, here and there, why can't we figure out a way to platform that and share that with other people? And that's exactly what we did. So like us, it was just about authenticity and getting it out there. And I just think a lot of people who try to go into content creation of any kind, they think it has to be perfect. And I don't think it does. In fact, it needs to be flawed. It should be flawed. You're flawed. I'm flawed. We're all flawed. And I think the more we can show those flaws and be real, it's going to come across far, far better. So I think that's the right, if you want to be honest, in content creation, is the authenticity, especially as AI keeps proliferating. There's plenty of fake, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole conversation right there. I'm right there with you with the authenticity approach of this. People connect with people. You think about when you make friends or you meet new, I don't know. I was going to say meet new family members. That's strange. But as you meet new people, right? Like you connect with the people that they are and the person that they are and how they show up to the world. It's the same thing with content creation.
Yeah.
You can go down the list of influencers that exist right now on, let's say Instagram or TikTok, just to name those platforms, that have these very curated personas of how they think they should show up. And then inevitably, and it happens time and time again, it eventually fizzles, the true colors show, and it's like, okay, that was your initial intention with this, so I'm right there with you with showing up as yourself. That's your brand. That's who you are, right? If you show up with a smile, you'll get smiles back. Simple as that.
Yeah, agreed. And I think people, like I said, I think people see through it, right? And they, they want to be able to connect to something that seems like resonates to them, obviously, as subject wise, but also seems like someone that, like, I always feel like I listen to things of people I could hang out with that person, right? I'd love to have a conversation with that person or this person. Like, I don't find myself listening to things when I'm kind of like, who cares? It's empty, right? You can kind of feel that, I guess. So, yeah. Hey, I want to ask you this, like, Ryan, like, one of the big things I think that a lot of Gen Z and young people at every generation, we all go through this of like kind of being lost a little bit, maybe paralyzed when you're first like, what do I do? Right? Is it college? Right? Okay, great. I did college. Now what? Right? What would you say to someone who is kind of stuck or just lost, or maybe are in that situation where they've gone down a path, maybe that was college or whatever, and they've landed somewhere where it's not quite what they wanted, or they're finding it's not quite what they wanted? Like, what would be your advice?
If I had to give advice to my younger self, because that's the position I think I'd be in at that point, or most people would be in.
It's a great way to frame the question better, actually.
Yeah. And just try things, keep trying things. And this is said so many times, and I hear it on every, mindset guru, business guru, social post, whatever, but it's okay to fail. It's okay to mess things up. The kind of time back to your always having to be perfect, like that stops you, that holds you back from getting anything done. And if you don't get anything done, there's no progress being made. Any step in any direction does not matter. Like, go work on like hop jobs. I did that for a very long time. I'm not saying I'm proud of it, but I got to work in a bunch of different industries. I got to meet a bunch of different people. There's learned experiences I got from them, and I was able to build my own perspective on how this workforce thing worked and what different industries I liked, what industries I didn't like. And I don't think I would be in the position I am now doing what I'm doing now if I hadn't just gone out and tried things. And I know there's the candidate like, I'm too old, or I have responsibilities. I don't think there's ever a bad time to go and try things. Like, you're just trying. It's not like you're marrying yourself to it. You always have the option to leave and go back to what you were doing. That's always available. But I think just giving a little bit of effort, try something, anything, and then see where it goes. I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think a lot of failure is rooted in never starting for most people.
100%.
They angst themselves out of it, right? And
Mhm.
and you're right. I love what Gary Vee talks about, right? He tells people fail 100 times. He's like, you're 26, you're 28, whatever that, whoever he's talking to, he always reminds them like, dude, you don't got to figure this out. And you might not figure it out until you're 50, and that's okay. It's a long road. Like, fail, try.
But I think
a
the
chance.
secret to that is go ahead and fail. But if you fail and then you stop having motivation to do the next thing or to take on the next thing, then you get then you find folks who are in just a complete rut of unproductivity, right? And I imagine that happens to some folks, or I believe there's others probably too, Ryan, who are maybe who are more risk averse than you, who wouldn't just like jump and go. But there's that, like what you said, still holds true. Your advice still holds true. You can still try things on the side. You don't have, you can make a less drastic or sudden jump and, kind of take something up as a hobby. I think a lot of folks in the creative space will start doing it in their free time and, hold down that, boring 9 to 5 or whatever it is that's making them think, oh my God, this is it. My life is until they can build that business. So there's so many different paths to take to be independent if you have that mindset and you value that and you're driven, not everybody's driven to stay busy and grow while they're doing their own, plotting their own course, right?
Yeah, I would say try, fail, learn, and network, right? I think that's a big part, right? Like networking was a big part of how we got together, and I think that's an underrated skill that younger people might not be cultivating as early as they should.
And how does that impact, Ryan? Like you've learned a lot about us, about Pete and I, and maybe you never even figured we would be much of a network. I know Pete has been far more valuable to you than I have, but talk about using these connections that you're making, and as you figure out where you're going, what you're doing, and how that can lead you to new business or to growing your own business. How that's worked out, I think, okay, right, in this space.
So far, so good. Knock on wood, right? But I think relationships go a mile. The people you surround yourself with and the people you interact with on a regular basis, like that's truly where I think a lot of your strength comes from in a professional position. And not even to the aspect of like leverage, like you can leverage this relationship for X, Y, or Z. Like you learn so much from other people and their learned experiences and what they've done and the things that they're interested in. Like there's so much to learn from those people. And so, like I said, if you show up, do good work with them and they want to do good work with you, that turns into something amazing in itself. And then other opportunities come along because of that. That's really been the whole approach that I followed. I should, and as much as I love marketing, I should be out doing the social postings and putting more on LinkedIn and like the things that I should be doing. But truthfully, I enjoy just the relationship building of this and being able to spend time. And it's this weird parasocial relationship, I guess, to its own degree, where I'm listening to these conversations, I'm laughing alongside everyone, even though it's just a recording. But I have a great time, and I feel like it's its own special little thing. And then I can reach back out afterwards, and we can have conversations of like, oh, I really like this. I'm always the number one fan. I always reach out. I'm like, I love what you guys are doing. This is a great topic. Yeah. I thought about this too.
Is flexibility the most valuable currency in today's talent marketplace? Pete Tiliakis here, inviting you to join me on May 20th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time for a live panel discussion featuring HR executives from Betterment, Wayroll HR, and Thread HCM. And together, we'll share how modern organizations are leveraging flexibility enablers to shape highly personalized and differentiated employee experiences for talent strategies that drive measurable business results. Plus, we'll share proven strategies for hybrid and remote working success and best practices for aligning your HR, payroll, and benefits in support of a flexible workplace. So don't miss the opportunity to learn why flexibility is the must-have competitive advantage in today's workplace. Register at the link in the post, and I'll see you on May 20th. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. You're like a coach to us. You always give us some good tidbits to make little adjustments, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, what's it like, by the way, coaching oldsters like Pete and I? I mean, like we come from a different generation, a different time. We're really trying to keep up, right? And appreciate your help doing that. But like, any antidotes or, like just things about, working with other generations? The Gen Zs take a lot of bash from our generations.
That's fair. No,
doesn't every generation take it from the one before? We always do. We're always lazy,
Gotta pass it off. It's all love. It's always love. And I would say oldsters by no means. There's just I grew up with technology. I remember I signed up for the terms and conditions on the original iPod, and that was like its own whole debacle. I've always had Instagram. I remember when it was still blue and white. Early YouTube was all HTML, just boxes and text. It was like this whole thing.
Yeah.
So I think growing up alongside it has taught me a lot of things, and so transitioning that over to previous generations and like even my little brothers, they're way smarter and way faster with a lot of the stuff. I'm like, how'd you do that on a story post? That sticker? He goes, oh, you just blah 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 blah. I'm like, I'm already aging out of this. It's downhill for me now. Um, but I think from like coming from Gen Z going backwards, right? There's no magic tips. I think I'd really say to just keep asking questions. It's okay to ask the questions because it's daunting. It really is. There's so much and it's constantly being updated. They're constantly changing things. This year alone, I mean, just even focusing on Instagram, they keep rolling out updates like every month, and it's a whole new platform at this point in comparison to where it was, 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, they all are, right? They've all evolved significantly.
They really do, yeah.
In a lot of ways. So, and the monetization has been really fascinating. They all monetize a little bit differently, ads, a lot of it, but it's fascinating how some of them have gone from nothing, no monetization, to now obviously monetizing. And yeah, that's been interesting too. So let me ask you this. So the conundrum like today of sort of the cost and the ROI for many degrees, right? I mean, you have an engineering degree. It's obviously, I don't know if it's benefited you, if you feel like it's been helpful in what you do, like if you even needed it, but do you feel like you draw on that? And what would you say for people who are on the fence that maybe are saying like, I don't know if I necessarily want to go to college. I want to go into some sort of content creation, or I want to go into some sort of path that's maybe I just need these skills, but I don't necessarily need this long education. I could jump right in. I'm like, what are your thoughts on that like right now?
So we all have to go to high school. We all have to get our diplomas.
Yeah.
That's granted, right? I don't think learning should stop after high school. And it's unfortunate there's always a sour taste left in your mouth after 18, or you're like, oh, I don't want to read another textbook ever again. Yeah. I have so many creative textbooks behind me. I like I wish I could throw them away when I was a kid, but now I'm like, I wish I kept them all. Like there's so much good information and knowledge in these. So I think for people that are, I guess, questioning whether or not to go to it, there is value in it. I'm on the stance of go build your own path, like, because it's available to you. Like there's never been more opportunity than now. You can post one thing, get 200 eyeballs, and that 200 doesn't seem exciting, but that's 200 people that would have seen it before, before you had this technology and this reach. So I think for the people that are on the fence of going either way, again, it's that same note of go try something and see if it's worthwhile. Go to community college, like go to lower expense. Maybe you don't need to staple yourself to a 6-figure degree, because maybe the job market's not available for you when you get out. Maybe the skill sets that you gain from there aren't actually applicable to the entry level jobs that you're looking to go into once you get out of college, right? Like I don't think the college system is built correctly in its current stance, but I think there is some good value from it.
It's still not oriented around skills, right? Just like much of the education out there, I think still has to make that transition. And I'm certainly you can. There's technical colleges, right, where you can get those things, but I don't think it is. It's and I even would say high school is I learned more in the military than I in boot camp than I did in all of high school and
100%
college after. So like it's all about the skills, right? And especially today, and I think that so much of the education is not oriented around that still, and I'm sure it's getting there. Hopefully, it will. But I think it's an interesting conundrum right now because a lot of folks I think are questioning, like my son, he was he graduated in the pandemic, went to his first semester of college in the pandemic, and he was like, this is stupid. Like, what am I doing? And he dropped out, and actually he's trying to become a chef now. Cool. And he's just following a passion. And I was like, hey, go do what makes you happy, dude. That's art. That's that's whatever. Find a way to make that work. And so he's on his path, working in a couple of ways. With some business leaders that own restaurants and trying to kind of learn that side of the business too. But I'm like, my wife was worried and I was like, look, it's not the end of the world. Like he's going to be all right. Like he's, as long as he gets skilled and follows his passion, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's the beauty of what the creator economy has created is this facility and this outlet for people to go and lean into and say, hey, I can take an alternative path and be a superstar and be very happy with what I do and not have to sit in a cubicle or maybe go to college for 4 to 6 years, depending upon what they're trying to do. So
I think that's part of what enables choices like yours, I think, Ryan. There are days and ages when there's stigmas associated with doing or not doing something, and the pendulum swung, and it's swinging hard, and folks are recognizing that isn't a path that's needed by everybody for everything, and where maybe that was looked down upon at one point in time, now it's very clear that the skills that are needed in today's society, honor every sort of profession, really, and every sort of worker. And if we haven't had a guest yet that said, a majority, some very large percent of jobs today won't even exist for your kids tomorrow, that should be said, that sometimes the learning institutions are a day late and a dollar short on what they really need to be teaching.
Julie, have you guys seen I don't know if you've been at HR Tech, they've had Mike Rowe speak a couple of times, the Dirty Jobs guy, right? And he has I think it's not a charity, like a 501, is it 501(c)(3) as that works? Yeah. Organization trying to reorient around and promote the skilled trades, right? So craftsmen around, building things and welding and construction and various different elements of sort of skill-based craftsmanship, right? And the point he makes in this, and I didn't really think about it until I listened to him speak about it, was, in our generation, in the 80s and the 90s, and even in the 2000s, that was somewhat vilified, right? Because you weren't going to college, you were a laborer, right? And instead of a skilled craftsman, you were looked at as a laborer. And he showed some old posters that sort of, again, I don't want to say vilified, but kind of made it sound negative, right? And so we've steered a lot of kids away from, the generations away from trying to pursue those things. And we have a shrinking pool of skilled laborers in America, and I'm sure in other places too, that aren't able to do some of these things that are very vital and very, very, very important. I know what I pay my plumber and my electrician, and it's more than my lawyer. I'll tell you that. So it's interesting that we have deterred that, and in a lot of ways, maybe even it harmed our infrastructure in some way, right? I mean, are we getting the right people, skilled to come out and do these things that we very much need? You hired a plumber lately? It's expensive,
silly, but
sort of plumber. You get a master certified plumber.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a few. I think I pay him about $300 an hour.
That's more than a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Or on par, right? I mean, I had an electrician come over here. I had to hang something one time. Julie will appreciate this. And somehow I was hanging a television in my son's room, and I hit the only line that it connects all the GFIs in my house. And this guy had to come and rewire the wall. It wasn't cheap. It was very embarrassing. That TV is never moving. It's never moving. But I've never had that happen. But yeah, it was a very expensive mistake.
Listen,
but I learned hey, these guys, there's a lot of money in this.
Let's not give Ryan any reason to want to try plumbing or electric.
He's an engineer.
I know. That's why. Zip it, Pete. Zip it.
He would be perfect at that. No, but seriously, I think that's kind of a mistake we've made of downplaying skills in exchange for education. And, here we are, right?
I think there's going to be a lot of room for almost like a skills economy, right? Because the gig economy, that's what I walked into, and that's what really got the entrepreneurial bug going. So even now, it's what can you do and what can you provide to somebody? And if there's interest in it, now you found the gold mine right there, right? So there's going to be a lot of opportunity, we'll say.
Yeah. Projecting a little bit, Ryan, how your lifestyle is now, right? And valuing the freedom and stuff. Can you imagine this working at a point in time where you start to think about family and, all the kind of things that tie people to more of the steady day-to-day grind?
Don't do it.
The advice.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's overrated.
I mean, you ever have thoughts about that? Or maybe you can't work in the middle of the night.
I love my family. I'm just kidding.
No, the late night's my favorite time. That's what I get all my work done is 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's the responsibility curve, and I've yet to truly get to that part because now I can hang out with my friends when I want to. We can go play pickleball on Fridays. We can go to the brewery on Saturday. If I want to take off in the middle of the day and just go for a drive, I can go do those things. So it allows me to have better output because I can go and recharge for a moment for whatever that is.
Someday when you have a wife who's telling you, I know you can change diapers in the middle of the day, so just hit pause and come do it. It might start to look like that first job experience where like, oh God, I'm at that point again.
Yeah, it opens the door for that, because you're home all the time, or you have more flexibility than somebody who is working in a 9 to 5, a standard corporate 9 to 5, right?
You could be a stay-at-home dad.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. Let's don't get ahead of ourselves. Let's don't get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. We're getting we did. This is unfair. We didn't do this with our other Gen Z folks and make them project like, oh no, what'd you call it? The responsibility curve.
Yeah,
I'll get there eventually, one day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, how about a safer projection? It, sticking in this HR community feels like it's a cool niche or cool spot within the whole podcasting and digital media and marketing that you're doing, right? Can you see yourself sticking around in it and making it a specialty, right? We need folks that really get all of the complexities of HR. And you've heard every single guest say somehow they ended up doing payroll by starting on some very odd. So if Pete doesn't make a payroll man out of you before you retire, I might be surprised.
I wouldn't do that to you, Ryan. I wouldn't do that to you. It's not for everybody, man. It's
listen, I'm always up for it. Trying something new.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love this space. We mentioned it earlier where, maybe it's a good or a bad story about how these inner workings work. I definitely come out as a disgruntled 9 to 5 guy. And so I'm excited to see all the change that was happening that I couldn't see prior. And now hearing about what both of you are doing, I don't know if I could list off all the other shows, but all the other practitioners, analysts, researchers, like all of them, they're, like I said, good intentions, good hearts, good motivation for how to make this better for my generation, your generation, my little brother's generations. Like, let's make it a little bit better. And I love to be the person that's helping kind of push it forward, even though I'm not in the policies and, helping push out payroll and all the actual tactical stuff. At least I can help with what I'm good at. And I think the synergy from that, it comes out and works out pretty well. So I will definitely be here for a long time. I love what's going on and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate having you, man.
HR by osmosis, Ryan.
I know.
Like it or not, you've stepped into HR.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
It's like what's the thing on the Sopranos where the guy was like, every time I try to get out, it pulls me back in. That's HR, that's payroll, that's what it does to you, man. It sucks you in and you never leave. So
can't get rid of me now. I'm staying.
You're here.
Yeah,
You're one
that's
of us.
Good. We want to hear that. Hey, unless Pete comes up with another one of his, hey, I got a question for you. I think, we could start to ask you where people can find you and get a hold of you and a little bit of those sorts of things, the way we always wrap.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram. Feel free to shoot me a DM on either platform. I think my email is in both of them as well, so you want to reach out that way. So I'm always around. I'm always on my computer, and I would love to connect with whoever.
Yeah. Well, look, if you got a podcast out there, you're looking for support for your content, your social media, your marketing, Ryan's a great resource, man. So get on. Ryan, how many shows do you produce now? Can you say?
I'm up to 12, working on a couple more. So
awesome.
It's growing. It's moving.
Awesome. You're powering the Work Defined network in a lot of ways, man. And I really appreciate it. I'm really happy that you've found a home here, because I think everyone appreciates you as much as we do, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're so glad you found your way to Extreme HR Podcast sporting event.
I know.
It's a good space. People should listen more. Check out the shows.
Yeah. Well, look, Ryan, thank you so much as always for everything you do, man. We really appreciate you. Power our show. And get in touch with Ryan if you need some help with your podcast. And hopefully this has been a good, another installment in Julie's Gen Z series, which I think is very, very timely, very, very informative, and certainly a peek into what the younger workforce is sort of looking for and what they're thinking. And just checking out your lens, man. I think you guys have a lot of exciting things ahead of you in terms of, as a generation, man, all the technology. You've grown up with technology, so why not, right? You're going to use it to power the next generation and the next future. So I love it, man. Awesome.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate you sticking around, and we will talk to you next time.